Changing Expectations, written by KK Slider. Arc 1, Emergence. Chapter 1, Lazarus. I was drowning. I was trapped in some thick, sticky substance. Not having time to wonder why I was submerged in an unknown liquid, I focused on trying to find air. Feeling the slight tug of gravity, I wiggled and squirmed upwards, hoping to find the surface. Instead, I hit something solid. Was I trapped under something? I didn't have time to think. I was going to drown if I didn't do something fast. I punched and pounded on the ceiling above me, trying to break through. Thankfully, it didn't take long before I shattered whatever surface was above me and pushed myself up. I broke through the surface of the liquid, taking deep, gasping breaths. All at once, there was a cacophony of senses that I couldn't make heads or tails of. Sound had returned to me, but I couldn't see anything except dull green glows. Were my eyes closed? I could think now that my life wasn't in danger. The last thing I remembered was someone demanding my wallet and an intense heat in my chest. I thought to myself,
I think I gave it to him, but where am I? Why was I submerged in this sticky stuff?
As I hacked and coughed my lungs clear, I started to make out the specific sounds that rose to a roar around me. Chirping. Buzzing. Skittering. My eyes shot open, and the avalanche of unsettling sounds ended abruptly. The vague green light started to come into focus. I was in a dark room. As my eyes became more and more adjusted to the ambience, I could make out more details. I was in a large circular cave. Bright green light seeped down from what seemed to be skylights in the ceiling, casting the cavern in a green hue. All around me were vague green blurs. The walls were made of a dull, warped black substance. It looked to me like obsidian without sheen. The walls curved, looped, and warped in on themselves, not a straight line in sight. The very image of an alien hive. The blurs came into focus as my eyes continued to adjust themselves. I was surrounded by sickly green eggs.
Oh god, am I about to get chest bursted?
Looking down, I realized that I came from an egg too, though mine was a lighter green and somewhat larger than the others.
Oh god, am I going to chest burst someone else? That's slightly better, but still terrifying.
Then I noticed my own form. My arms, which I had rested upon the edge of my egg after breaking it open, did not end in hands. They were solid masses, black in color and rigid like rock.
Where are my hands? What's on my arms?
I flailed and banged my arms against the egg. My efforts rewarded me when my movements rocked the egg backwards, and I fell on my back, spilling the thick, viscous clear substance out of the egg.
Oh, what the fuck am I covered in? And what is...
From the neck down, I was a caterpillar. Thick white spheres, decreasing in size the lower they went, were covered in the slime that nearly drowned me. I couldn't see my legs. I couldn't see my chest. In the center of my vision wasn't a nose, but a black muzzle. Naturally, I reacted the same way any sane man or woman would. Brood Nurse Sokid watched on as the newly hatched changeling larva hissed, screeched, and flopped around erratically. She had sent Brood Nurse Lethoceros off to inform the queen that the hatching had begun and would return soon. For now, she was alone.
Strong set of lungs.
Sokid remarked quietly to herself.
And such fierce aggressiveness. Her Majesty will be most pleased.
Right on cue, the sound of hoofsteps behind her caught her attention, and Sokid turned to see the lings who had just entered the nursery. She bowed deeply, touching her muzzle to the ground, and greeted the two visitors. New sounds interrupted my existential cries, and I stopped screeching at the top of my tiny lungs to look over, still prone on my back, at the sources of the interruption. I saw 3 figures towering over the clutches of small eggs that covered the ground of the chamber. The closest had its back to me, head down to the ground. A second, similar looking to the first, stood next to the third figure. It was the third figure that captured my attention immediately, to the point where I only noticed the other two when they spoke. It was vaguely horse-shaped, with 4 legs, a body, a long neck, and a roughly horse-shaped head. That's where the similarities ended and the wrongness began. It was charcoal black, covered in the same slightly glossy substance that my arms were coated in. It towered above the other 2 figures, standing heads above them. Where the other 2 had a torso of shades of a deep sea blue, this monumentous figure had shades of faded lime green on her torso, and eyes that would make a Disney villain envious. These faded into a dull teal towards her front shoulders. But what I noticed first was the head. A thick curtain of blue matted hair surrounded her head like a veil. A tall, gnarled, twisted black horn sprouted from the forehead. Atop rested a cluster of antennae resembling a crown. Massive eyes accented with feminine eyelashes dominated the face of the creature, half-lidded, with green slitted eyes of a cat, a massive cat at that. And it was looking right at me, smiling with a fanged grin. Her mouth moved as a series of sounds echoed their way across the chamber. With the repeated sounds, I guessed that it was a language. It was speaking to the other 2 figures, even as it kept its eyes on me. I tore my eyes away from the amalgamation of chitin and ligaments to gaze at the bowed figure. It was similar to the other figure next to the giant. All 3 were insectoid horses. Now I noticed it had shades of deep sea blue on its torso, and its eyes were a light teal with a white mass as pupils. There was no crown, nor any strange matted hair. Its horn was smooth, smaller, and curved backwards.
So that thing must be a queen? That would certainly fit with the alien motif. And it's speaking, which means it's intelligent. And oh god, it's getting closer.
Brood Nurse Sokid, I trust that you have not failed to alert me in time to be present for the hatching.
Queen Chrysalis interrogated the bowed brood nurse while staring at the hatched changeling larva.
No, my queen. You are right on time for it.
The queen never took her eyes off the larva.
Then why is a larva already hatched?
He hatched long before the rest, my queen. As soon as the eggs stirred, I sent Lethoceros to inform you at once.
Brood Nurse Sokid pleaded. Brood Nurse Lethoceros nodded.
This is true, my queen.
Sokid continued.
You'll be most pleased to hear that it is a strong and healthy prince.
Do not presume to tell me what to feel, drone.
The queen belted at the cowed brood nurse.
I will make my own evaluation.
Queen Chrysalis passed the nurse to get a better look at the larva, her presence already causing the nearby eggs to start twitching. She levitated the larva up to eye level. It was large for a larva, nearly twice the usual size. Still, she could hold it with a single hoof. It looked strong and healthy as Sokid judged it to be, and to hatch so long before the rest? The larva did not squirm or hiss. It just stared at the queen. Chrysalis looked straight into its eyes.
I expect great things from you, little one. I name you Phasmatodea, Prince of the Changeling Waste, heir of the 4th Hive Dynasty.
The nearby eggs rocked back and forth as the giant queen approached. The eggs started to crack, but I paid no notice, for a creature 15 times my size was upon me. It stopped a foot in front of me, never taking its gaze off of me. As it drew closer, I could see its grotesque visage in clearer detail. The black, glossy chitin that covered it was polished to perfection. Its legs were covered in holes, seemingly placed randomly. 2 thin, transparent blue wings, bigger than myself, lay flat on her back. She had a tail that resembled the hair coming from her head. Or would that be a mane? Its horn glowed with the same green light hue as her eyes, and I felt myself being picked up off the cold cavern floor. Instead of being filled with panic as the horrifying queen picked me up and stared into my eyes, I felt a deep sense of contentment. She looked over me for a moment before speaking to me in that strange horse speak. I did not understand the words she spoke, but I understood their meaning. Prince Phasmatodea, my new name. The skittering and chirping I heard when I first awoke started to come back, but not to the deafening level it first was. I heard someone speak, not with my ears, but from within my own mind.
Welcome to the Weave, Prince Phasma.
Changing Expectations. Written by KK Slider. Chapter 2. Tantalus.
What? Who's there?
The voice did not speak again.
Hello? Are you the queen? Am I a prince?
As I wondered this, I noticed myself in the reflection of the queen's massive eyes. My head was black for the most part, though it turned into the white that the lower parts of my body were, starting at the ears. Speaking of ears, they were near the top of my head and extended outwards. My eyes were the same as the queen herself, only I have faded orange-slitted irises rather than the villain green. Strange. I took after her rather than the other 2 similar creatures, the changelings. That was probably important, I noted absently.
Wait, changelings? How did I know that?
Grow strong, my larva, for you will bring me the future.
Continued the voice.
It must be the queen speaking, but she cannot hear me.
The queen opened her mouth, giving me a nice view into her elongated muzzle, filled with teeth and fangs. Pink wisps of fog started to emanate from the back of her throat, drifting lazily outwards. Almost immediately, whispering started to drown out the dull skittering and clicking that filled the back of my mind.
With you by my side.
Your very best, and you shouldn't have.
Hey, say you and I go to the camp.
There was something else. Something beyond anything I had ever experienced. It was good, but I could not place how it was good. Did I taste it like a shark tastes blood in the water? Or could I smell it like a bloodhound smells a steak? I didn't know how, but I wanted it. I needed it. My mouth opened and I drew in gasping breaths, my tongue rolling out and trying to grasp at the ethereal tendrils of love. The pink mist flew into my mouth, and I instantly tasted the most divine thing that I could possibly imagine. This ambrosia nectar filled every inch of my being with warmth and filled my stomach to the brim. My mind clouded. So good. Wanted more love. The queen broke eye contact and I felt myself being moved again, this time to her back. I could hardly care. I was already starting to slip into what I assumed was the best food coma I had ever experienced. I barely noticed that the whispers had vanished, leaving me alone with the skittering and chirping once again. I hiccuped. As I curled up on the green shell that housed the queen's now retracted wings, I stared out with half-closed eyes at the small eggs which had now begun to crack and break open. Smaller versions of myself, though with the blue eyes of the, what I can only guess to be, drones, poked their fat heads out. They too started to hiss and flail, only at each other rather than their new existence. Or maybe they did. I wasn't in a state to care.
I have no idea what's going on,
I remarked with a quiet giggle that came out as muted hisses.
Nap time, I think.
As sleep took me, I noticed, and then immediately discarded the fact that the small hatchlings were now crawling towards me, or rather, the queen. Sokid rose after Queen Chrysalis passed her, then moved to stand beside Lethoceres. They shared a glance before returning their attention to the royalty in the room. They were silent until their queen started to feed Prince Phasma.
Her Majesty must care for Lava's condition no small amount if she's feeding him undiluted love. From her own personal store, no less.
Lethoceres whispered. Sokid's muzzle scrunched up as she thought.
Makes sense. Where was the last time she laid a prince or a princess?
Lethoceres was silent for a moment.
Not any time within the unsealed nursery records.
The eggs around the queen started to crack and break as the rest of the brood entered the world.
More than an entire century?
Sokid asked, and Lethoceres nodded. The larvae were now starting to swarm over Queen Chrysalis, a few fighting over the best spots. This generation seemed to favor the holes of Chrysalis's back legs, closer to Prince Phasma. Soon enough, the larva's collective hissing died down as they curled up on the queen, and a silence once more took the chamber. Sokid counted the intact eggs scattered about. Comparing her count to the figures available through the weave, Sokid commented quietly, though loudly enough for Chrysalis to hear.
4 out of 51 eggs. That is the most successful clutch we've had in decades. And the entirety of the records, in fact.
Queen Chrysalis looked over to the 2 brood nurses, who immediately straightened up before glaring back at the prince's egg.
As expected, even as larvae, the new drones feel the pull of Prince Phasma on the weave.
His voice is quiet, my queen.
Lethoceres remarks.
He is as silent as the rest of the larvae.
Chrysalis sneers.
Simple-minded dolt. Do you think I have forgotten basic changing biology?
She questions with a hiss.
He does not speak words, but his mere presence is felt. And this nursery better be cleared out by the hour, brood nurse Lethoceres, or you'll be going into the recycling vat as well.
At once, my queen.
Lethoceres ducks and says. A bit too loudly, it would seem, as several larvae rustled, earning another glare from the queen. Sokid helped clear out the eggshells and the diluted love-infused abdomen fluids off of the ground. The 2 changelings worked deathly quiet, the slightest noise earning yet another signature glare from their queen. It was quite the trip from the nursery to the recycling vats, but the brood nurses worked quickly with practiced expertise. The hatching. The day when the brood nurses welcomed the young into the world. And the day when the nurses squirmed under Queen Chrysalis's scrutiny. Sokid remarked that she had no idea whether she looked forward to hatchings or whether she dreaded them. As I awoke from my dream of medieval France ruled by giant moths, it became immediately apparent that I was not, in fact, still on top of the queen. I was laying on the ground, covered in warm things. Opening my eyes, I saw that, once again, I was in the circular cavern. The light green light flowing from the ceiling hadn't changed in the slightest. These changelings really needed an interior designer. The warmth was not from my blankets, and the hard floor was definitely not my bed. Whatever this strange new existence was, it was here to stay. I really was still a changeling, and now I was covered in smaller changing larvae. They seemed to have piled around me. The chirping in my mind had quieted even more, and I had to focus to listen to it.
Well, this is not going away. I need to take stock of what I know. I am a changeling larva. I feed on love.
How did I know these two things?
The voice that spoke to me without words. It was as if it was projecting straight into my mind.
Maybe it did. Maybe the Queen was communicating telepathically. Anything was possible at this point.
The changeling queen. It called me Prince Phasma.
That must be my new name. And since I was a prince and she was a queen,
She is my mother.
the matching trait supported this. No other changeling had the eyes we did. All these drones had blue eyes with a clouded iris, meaning the queen, my mother, and I had slitted irises, like a cat. I was also comparatively massive, surrounded by these smaller changelings. That all suggests she laid my egg herself, and no other egg.
My last memory. I was being robbed. There was an intense heat. I must not have.
I had died. I had died and was reborn into the body of a royal insect horse.
Fuck.